And welcome to the Pride of Detroit PODcast. What did I do, Jeremy?
Nothing. I just hit my mic really hard. Hopefully it didn't show up.
Okay. Well, you do that every time. So let me set it from the top then. Excuse me, folks. Welcome to the Pride of Detroit PODcast. Prideofdetroit.com. Pride of Detroit on Twitter. Pride of Detroit on Facebook. You know where to find us. And now also on YouTube. Search for Pride of Detroit. And twitch.tv/Pride of Detroit. Folks, we've got a lot of stuff coming for the season. The Detroit Lions season is here like a thief in the night. We're going to be all over the place. YouTube and Twitch are going to be very, very active. You want to be subscribed. You need to be subscribed on twitch.tv/Pride of Detroit and over at YouTube. Search for Pride of Detroit and catch the PODcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeart Podcasts, wherever you get podcasts. We're probably there. And you know what? Our lives are, Pride of Detroit, where our slogan is, our dating lives are better than Jay Cutler's. Joining me today, as we do, what?
Maybe.
I think the absence of a dating life is still better than Jay Cutler's. Knowledge star. Anyway, that voice right there is Mansour Shaheen, which I haven't been using his theme music. I'm going to use it in the podcast right here. At Mansour Shaheen on Twitter. He's joining us. Hello, Mansour.
Hello, Chris. I actually don't think I've listened to the song Goosebumps in a while, so I should, thank you for reminding me of that song.
Yeah. Remind you to listen to our own podcast. Yeah. I am Chris Perfett, the adequate host at Chris Perfett on Twitter, PERFETT, and give respect to your fearless leader, Jeremy Reisman at Detroit Online. How you doing, buddy?
I am so excited and already a little bit exhausted now that the season is literally here. I mean, we're recording this on Thursday night. Right now, a week from now, we will be watching football, real football, for the first time together, and that's absolutely insane to me.
Yeah, I know I'm going biblical by using Thief in the Night here, but that's what it feels like. I just watched the Thunder choke away a Game 7 in probably the worst play I've ever seen Billy Donovan draw up. And now yet within that time frame, I'm like, oh, wait, football's almost here too in less than 2 weeks. That doesn't make sense. Nothing makes sense. No. We're in the time warp. We're in kind of the zone, and football's coming, and you're not ready for it, folks. You're just not ready for it.
I'm ready for it.
Are you ready for it, man?
I say
no. Not at all. You're also sleeping on Central Arkansas Austin Peay. You forgot to. Oh, that was real football. Just because they're not FBS.
Is Central Arkansas any different from any other region of Arkansas?
Central Arkansas is playing again.
Clearly, because they're in the middle.
Are they playing
Can
again?
Anyone
tonight?
tell?
Yeah, that game was terrible. That was like that game. Yeah, terrible football. That's how a lot of NFL teams might look early in the year. So.
That's a good point. Things are going to look extremely sloppy, and I'm here for it.
We're recording on Thursday. Central Arkansas is playing again tonight. They just played on
Saturday. It was
Saturday.
Like 4 days, 2 games or something.
And they're playing UAB.
They're going to get smacked. I mean, that's a paycheck game, right? UAB is going to give them probably gave them like $300K to get beat down.
Is this an FCS podcast? Is that what's happening now? We're so sorry for football
FCS podcast
that we're talking about Central Arkansas.
Central Arkansas.
I think this is probably the first time the NFL playing football is more moral than college football playing football right now. I'm just going to say that. And you can direct your hate tweets to at Chris Perfett, PERFETT. That is my opinion, you bastards.
He's lying. He changed it at Detroit Online.
How dare you?
And you can find Mansour at Ryan_PO.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Well, we need to get into it here. We've told you guys, and I want to stress this again before we get into it. Pride of Detroit. Jeremy, you will attest this. All feet are on one pedal at once to just drive us straight into danger zone.
Yes, we are going full 16-cylinder season. That's right, I said it. We're bringing back cylinder talk. We're up to 16 this season.
This is a Detroit podcast. We're doing cars. That ESPN graphic that they loved.
Yes, with the running game breaking down.
How bad our running game is. Yeah, we have Kerryon Johnson now.
Not this year, buddy. DeAndre Swift. We're kicking things into extra gear. like a manual transmission. I'm just throwing out car terms and hoping that it makes sense, because as it's been well established on this podcast, we don't know anything about cars.
I do. I changed my oil the other month.
What?
Nice.
Is that, and you're not talking like, it's not a sexual
That's not
thing?
a euphemism.
Okay.
That is not a
Okay.
I've done the euphemism many
Okay.
times.
Okay. I don't know why I decided to take that down that road, but it was a mistake.
You stepped in it. Now, let's get to the preview. We've wasted enough time here. Again, one more time, like, prior to Detroit, we're going to have so much out, guys. Like, we don't have any new writers, but we've got plenty of stuff on there where we have to pick up the slack. Kent is on to a lot of really cool things, and you should be following Mathbomb on Twitter. He's got his own gig now with RAS. So some of us are picking up where he's left off. Others of us, we're just going to be covering these games. It's going to be weird in the age of COVID-19, but I guarantee you, we got this. We're going to be doing plenty of podcasts too. I already know we're already planning for our Bears preview podcast, but I want to turn the attention to previewing the season itself right now. So I feel like there is no better place to start when talking about the weirdness of the Lions that I've seen fans so negative on this team, and kind of some of them already giving up. And I don't understand why. It's, I'm a negative guy, and yet at the start of an NFL season, anything can happen. But national experts are picking the Lions in shocking and alarming ways. I mean, I know Mina Kimes at ESPN has been riding them almost to the point where I think it's a meme at this point. And I know I've worked with several Vegas guys, and I know that some sharps out there, they think it's a really good bet to take the Lions season total over 6.5. Which, I mean, that doesn't mean much of anything. It's, it could mean 7-9. It could mean 8-8. That's not a playoff team, but it's still a vast improvement over last season. So how do you guys feel about this? Because I talked with a Bills fan of mine, and he says he hates national attention. It always makes him itchy. And he's like, I start running for the hills when people are giving us attention. So how do you guys feel about this? Where's the attention coming from?
I think the over 6.5 bet is just a good bet in a season like this one, where, like, I think Jeremy said, it's going to be super sloppy, and like these teams aren't going to look like they know what they're doing until like halfway through the year, right? Because usually like week 1 through 3 are sloppy as hell in the NFL. So now we're taking away preseason. So yeah, I mean, there's a chance that a team bumbles their way to 7-9, right? Like, I think, 6.5, that is actually, like, if you look at the like usual over under win totals, that actually is super low. Like, it's rare that teams are anything less than 6 or anything higher than like 10, unless they're like a real like contender, like the Chiefs this year, or a team that we expect to go 0-16, like Washington this year, like a team that's like genuinely terrible. So I think, why not smash over 6.5? But when it comes to people thinking we're going to win the division, I'm surprised we're getting this attention and not like the Miami Dolphins. But I think the Dolphins and the Bills kind of are canceling each other out. But I think it might just be that everyone's looking at the Bears, the Packers, and the Vikings and seeing that these teams are much worse than they've been in the past, and that these 3 teams don't really look like contenders or like they're capable of doing anything in the playoffs. So everyone's like, okay, Lions, they're a cool startup. Stafford had a good half season last year. Let's just smash them.
Jeremy, do you think anything has maybe changed in the past week as far as calculus for some of these people seeing the pickups that the Minnesota Vikings have made, or no?
I mean, it'll change a little bit. I mean, Yannick Ngakoue is a significant addition, and the big knock on the Vikings this offseason was that they lost all that defensive talent. So that's going to make up for some of it, no question. But I mean, at the same time, it is just one person, and I think that the Vikings have a little more flaws than that. I think offensively speaking, they need to find their footing again, especially without Diggs this year. I know they got Justin Jefferson, but they're not exactly the same kind of guys. I don't think they're interchangeable. They're going to have to change what they do on offense. So there are a lot of questions, and I think that, bringing into the other teams in the division really is important in this discussion, because I think everyone that's picking the Lions nationally are kind of doing it backhandedly, right? Like, you see Mina Kimes doing it, you see, and like you said, it's almost like a meme. They're kind of joking about it. They're like, we know this isn't probably the right thing to do, but I'm kind of feeling it. And then you look at someone that I actually do really, and not that I don't respect these other people, but like that does seem like an objective, like real analysis of the Lions, like Football Outsiders. They picked them as the most likely team to go worst to first this year. And then they took it a step further and said, well, our projection model actually says, hey, they have the best odds to win the NFC North. And that's when I pay attention. Now, there's a couple of weird factors in here, though, to bring into mind here. First of all, they did the exact same thing last year. And so, obviously, you have to be like, well, maybe we shouldn't trust this prediction model so much if they literally had the Lions as favorites last year. And then also, again, it's kind of like a backhanded compliment. When you dive a little deeper into their analysis, they say, well, the only reason we have them as favorites is because everyone in the division has between a 21 and 29% chance to win the division by our prediction model. So everyone is lumped together. In a way, the Lions being favorites to win the division is really more a telltale sign that this division just isn't that strong this year. And so, yeah, a team like the Lions could certainly take it.
This definitely is not a strong division, looking around it. Like,
no, it's terrible.
I don't know what's going to happen with the Vikings. I think they're my favorite to win the division right now, but like, who knows? I think depending what happens with quarterback with the Bears, we could get anything. And I know they've got a decent defense and maybe that carries them, but like that offense is just, it's non-existent. Like the quarterback isn't great. I'm not expecting Foles to suddenly ball out. I'm sorry. And their run game isn't good enough to complement, a maybe mid-tier quarterback at best if it's Trubisky or Foles.
Yeah,
So,
the Bears offense is a black hole. There's not even like potential there really. Like some teams like, if this guy plays well, like them, it's like that. Like Trubisky is bad. Foles got benched for 6th rounder last year. The offensive line bad. Weapons they have one but bad. Like like
they got 10 tight ends though.
Yeah, and they're all bad too. Jimmy Graham, like they're not very good either. Yeah, it's that team's that offense is not going to do anything this season. There's no upside.
The one wild card I really have is the Packers. I just don't know what to make of the Packers right now. Like, and that I guess kind of depends on whether you buy into Aaron Rodgers being under pressure or not. What we even do with their offense, and their defense is kind of messy.
Yeah,
I think is a kind word for it.
I think the story of the Packers this year is like, well, what's changed? And yeah, they went, what was it, 13-3 or 12-4 last year? They won the division. They went to the conference finals. But I think a lot of people would agree, and analytics agree as well. Like that was a way overperforming season for them. Their turnover rate was incredible. Their record in short games. Close games, I should say, was unsustainable. So a lot of people expect a fall down to earth. And then it's interesting because their GM was crazy active in 2019. And then, Green Bay's like, we finally turn a new page. This team's going to be aggressive. We're not going to waste Aaron Rodgers' years. And then they come out this year and do nothing.
Well, not nothing. They got Jordan Love.
Well, okay, in the draft they did something, but they did nothing for this year, right? That's not a move for this year, and so it's interesting. Everyone's kind of expecting them to kind of fall, back to earth. And when you look at kind of analytics and the way year to year things go, offense is usually a lot more consistent than defense, and the Packers had one of these crazy defensive seasons last year, almost like the Bears did in 2018, and we all saw what happened to the Bears last year. They weren't terrible. They were still pretty good, but they weren't this crazy, record-setting defense, and I think there's a pretty good chance we see the same kind of thing happen with the Packers this year.
And I think it's important to look at the division itself, because those kind of falling back down to earth, that always affects the division more than anything else, right. I believe. Like sometimes a team falling back down to earth, they can still clean up their division, fine, but more often than not, it's not going to be the Lions getting walked over by the Bears and the Packers. And indeed, the Lions are starting the year with 2 NFC North divisional opponents, which we haven't seen in a very long time. Usually the Lions, for the last 4 seasons, I feel like, Jeremy, it's been the NFC North schedule's been back-ended for the Lions. They don't really get to play everyone this early.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. I mean, yeah, like you said, they're going to get tested right away with 2 divisional games right off the bat. They get to host the Bears in week 1, and then they got to travel to Lambeau right away. When none of these teams are really going to be prepared for any of that. And so
this is going to be like the preseason because of COVID.
Yeah, they're going to basically have to test their own identities, figure out who they are against the division, and that's going to put a lot of pressure on some of these guys, which kind of brings you into the Lions offseason strategy a little bit. And I don't know if this was just kind of a talking point that all the Lions coaches got on, or if this was a real strategy of theirs, but they kept saying, we knew during free agency this could be a disrupted season. We knew this could be a season in which our off season was going to be shortened. Our players maybe weren't going to get the kind of off season program that they're used to. So let's go bring in a bunch of veterans that already know our system. Let's bring in Duron Harmon. Let's bring in Jamie Collins. Let's bring in Danny Shelton, guys that have played in this defense before and guys that shouldn't need a full offseason to get acclimated. And so on paper, that makes a lot of sense. Now, whether these guys are going to be up for it, a lot of them are going to be taking, an increased role than what they're used to. But on paper, it kind of makes sense what the Lions did this offseason, and it's kind of, it's a source for some optimism at least.
Yeah, I could see. Yeah, sorry, go on, Manser.
Yeah, we were in a spot where we kind of had to make big additions on defense. Like the defense last year was absolutely terrible, so we had to make big changes. So it does make sense to like find players who, at least played in a similar role in the past. But it also means that like when you're adding so many new players and the players don't play, the Jamie Collins never played alongside Jared Davis in July and July. Mm-hmm. So there's clearly like just a missing piece of chemistry there, and they're not going to have any preseason. So I think like the strategy is good, and they were in a spot where they had to make additions on defense. So they definitely did the right thing, but it's going to be a mess, like for at least to start. Like these guys aren't going to like, they've never played alongside each other, especially like in the front seven.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, and they had limited time for a lot of it too. And I know, again, as a note, if you're listening on the podcast or watching on YouTube, we are recording this on a Thursday, so this is before 53-man rosters have been finalized. So there's probably going to be some cuts coming, some of these guys too. I know me and Jeremy, we made our predictions on Tuesday when we recorded. Is that right, Jeremy? Was it Tuesday? This week kind of is weird to me. Okay, Tuesday. Yeah, that's right. I apologize. My brain's kind of been fogged lately. So we're going to see some changes there, but I think the point still stands. This is a brand new, they've overhauled their defense, and it's absolutely, I would say, an upgrade over 2019. It's hard not to be an upgrade over 2019. Like it's being an upgrade from dirt.
Yeah, but, I mean, it kind of goes back to the offseason question that I feel like we've asked a billion times on this podcast alone. Is it's changed, but is it better? And like yes. Mansour said, change was absolutely necessary, and the Lions probably went around the best way they could have. But given that none of these guys have played together. Given that a guy like Duron Harmon is going to go from being the guy that comes off the bench to a starter, Jamie Collins, like you said, dealing with a couple new linebackers that he's never played alongside. He's never succeeded outside of New England either. And then Danny Shelton, again, a guy who had a rotational role in New England, now kind of thrust into a starting role. Is that all going to work? I do tend to think that these guys are better fit for what the Lions want than some of the guys they're replacing. Desmond Trufant for Darius Slay, probably not an upgrade there if there's one big offseason move that didn't move the needle in the upward trajectory. But then again, you also have Jeff Okudah now, and he's probably better than Rashaan Melvin, even right away, I would say. So a lot of changes. I'm with you that I think the defense is going to be better because there isn't a lot of room downwards. And also, like I said, defense tends to vary more year to year, and there were a lot of trends that the Lions kind of fell on the unlucky side last year in terms of like fumble recovery and again, that close game record. So I do think the defense will improve. The question is, will it be good enough? Will it be average? Will it be still below average? And those are questions I don't think we're going to get an answer to until at least October, maybe even November.
Well, let's give an answer right now. What do you feel? Do you feel like how do you feel you see this trending? Prediction time.
Jumping right into it already.
Yeah. No, just for this particular element.
I think they're going to be better, but I think they're still going to be below average. I think it's going to take a while for it all to come together. We talked a little bit during the 53-man podcast. I like the depth of our linebacker core a lot better, but I still don't like the starters. The defensive line is kind of the opposite. I think it's got some decent starters, but almost no depth. And then the secondary, I'm feeling okay about. I think Okudah is going to be good, but not great to start. And I do like our safeties if they can stay healthy.
Mansour, if I know this might be a tall order here, but if I told you, can you rank? Because I know you've been doing all the season previews for all the teams. Where would you say you rank this Lions defense like right now among 32 teams? Just
probably
shot in the dark.
below average-ish, like not like bottom, but like
In the 20s, you
20,
would say?
25 range. I mean,
Wow, that's still
I
pretty
think
low, yeah.
in a year like this, especially, like it's like star power is going to matter so much, if that makes sense. Like
Yes.
the talent that each individual player has is going to be huge, because like these players aren't going to be meshing together well anywhere. So I mean, I brought up the Dolphins already once. I think like what the Dolphins did, and again, this isn't the Lions' fault. This is an uncontrollable thing. But like something what the Dolphins did, where they brought in like Byron Jones and Kyle Van Noy and players that like have played extremely well in the past. And while the Lions brought in guys that maybe aren't as like good as them individually, but have played well in the system, or played as well them in the system, but like the individual talent just isn't there for the Lions. And in a year like this, where I feel like individual talent's going to matter more than anything because everything's going to be a mess, they're probably still going to be pretty bad. Not 32nd in the NFL, but pretty bad.
They really don't have a star on defense, period.
Yeah.
Like Trey Flowers
Trey Flowers
isn't
got,
that, but he's not
Khalil Mack.
Right, exactly.
He's a guy who's like, he's a good support. Same with Jaron Harmon. They're both players who are good, but they're good at making everyone else around them better. But like that also requires everyone to kind of be coordinated, but that's not going to happen this year. And Trey Flowers isn't a Khalil Mack guy who's going to just rip the ball out of the quarterback's hand every play or something. Like, where is it going to come from?
I think that's a good place to leave that there. When we come back, I want to talk about identity. I want to talk about the big guy, Matthew Stafford. I have a take on him that I want to share with you guys. And we're going to kind of go down, kind of like what we did here for defense. I want to talk a little bit more on the defense later on, but I also want to hit on the offense. And then later in the show, we're going to run down the schedule. We're not going to give predictions for everything, but I want to talk about some of that. I'm going to talk a little bit about the home field advantage or lack thereof in the weird age of COVID. And we'll make some various bold predictions throughout the show. But we're going to take a quick break here. If you're watching on Twitch, we're going to answer some of your questions. We're going to chat it up a little bit more. But on the podcast, we'll be right back. This is the Pride of Detroit PODcast. Okay, real quick. What's up?
Sorry, I was saying someone mentioned the chest about D-line, and like, yeah, like I think like Aaron Donald's going to go fucking crazy this year because the guards don't know what they're doing. Like, we won't have anyone like that. And it's like, you know, not the Patricia's fault or Quinn's fault. It's just going to be, it is kind of is what it is.
Real quick, I saw Call Me Matub, friend of the show, is in here, and he says Packers are a 9-7 team this year, but 9-7 wins the division.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if they're a 9-7 team, but 9-7 wins the division. Probably.
Yeah.
Stakes are low. Yeah. All right. I know I have my friend John watching. I said I'd go do this. So why don't Jeremy? If I know you got to get to some Twitch business, I'm going to go to the fridge real quick.
Okay.
Grab something.
I'll keep. If you guys have any questions, feel free to throw them in. Let me also thank a couple people who followed in the past hour or so. Sal Flip, thank you for the follow. Harold Jor, thank you for the follow, and Air D Brooks, thank you for the follow. Make sure you have notifications set up so every time we go live, get a nice little notification to your phone. If you're new to our Twitch channel, which obviously you guys are, we do a daily or a weekly podcast. There'll be Sundays after the game, but during the off season, it's Mondays typically. We'll also be doing a preview podcast typically right around now. Thursday nights is usually when we do them. Sometimes Wednesday nights. So just if you get those notifications, you'll never miss it. But we do a preview podcast with the opposing team. This weekend, we'll be doing a podcast on Sunday to talk about the roster. Then we'll be doing our Bears preview early in the week, I think on a Monday or Tuesday. So we're going to be very, very busy to start things off. So make sure you are followed. Make sure you are getting those notifications. Yeah, I think that's all. I have a question. Why do you hate Jared Davis, the key to this defense?
When he needs to play well, and then just he needs to start playing better, and then we won't hate him.
That's my buddy Marvin. He's joking.
Oh, okay.
No, I mean, here's the thing. Like, if there's a season for him to break out, this would be it. But I've seen nothing to suggest that at training camp. Like, he has the one quote that I like to go back to all the time is Matt Patricia saying about Jared Davis, like, he had to go through a whole defensive schematic change, and he didn't have that veteran linebacker to help him. And when a player has that veteran linebacker, it pays off immediately because they have someone they can bounce ideas off of. They have guys that know the scheme inside and out. And, now he has that. The question is, I feel like it's already too late for him. Like, I feel like having that veteran presence in Jamie Collins and Reggie Ragland, I think that might benefit a guy like Jelani Tavai, who I think by the end of the year is probably going to take Jared Davis's job full time, if he doesn't already. I mean, we already saw them kind of interchange them a little bit during training camp, but yeah, I think this is the year we just start turning the page on Jared Davis. This is the last year, obviously, they declined his 5th-year option. And unless he just comes out and balls out like we haven't seen him before, including his time in Florida, then, yeah, I don't know.
All right, real quick, I told John I would do this. I know John's probably watching, and he's a Bears fan, so RIP to him. This is a sad day for him dealing with all this, but he sent me a bunch of beer, so I said I'd probably have one on the stream. So I decided, he sent me some Saison, but I decided to go with the India Pale Ale right now just because it's probably a good time for this. So beer, that's all. That's why I wanted to make a run. So I'm gonna get drunk while we're doing this.
Okay, couple more questions really quick. Is the defense going to be much different with a different coordinator, which kind of goes along with Ryan Lyons' question? What do you think Unlin can bring as a play caller? Because as Patricia and Unlin announced this week, Unlin's going to be calling the plays. That's a really hard question to ask. I don't know if either of you have an opinion on that. Unlin hasn't called plays in 20 years since he was with Cal Lutheran, so we don't really have much of a read on who he is as a play caller.
Hit up all 22 on Twitter bets and get the Cal Lutheran, the Cal Lutheran film 2000.
I think the main question everyone has on their mind though is like, are they going to blitz more? Right? Because they didn't do it at all last year. They were stubborn about it last year. And Football Outsiders, we had a conversation with them, and that's what they pointed to too. Like, Patricia essentially refused to help his players out. Like, the secondary was good.
Doing addition? Are we doing addition by subtraction just by removing Patricia from the picture? Like,
I mean, maybe.
Because listen, this is always my issue with Patricia when he was a play caller, because in New England, those New England defenses started really slow and really sloppy. Like every year without clockwork. First 10 games, sure. They were always the bottom of like the Football Outsiders metrics because of and he was, I don't remember if he was he play calling? Because I think it kept going back and forth.
It was initially Paul Pasqualoni, but by the end of the year, it'd become apparent. Like he never straight up admitted it, but like you could see him with the card, just like calling things into.
Well, I was talking about him I was talking about him in New England. Yeah, probably because Belichick obviously kind of runs at a tight ship, but still, I think at the start of the year, probably more leeway to Patricia. But that's what I mean. I feel that Undlin just if he does what you say, Jeremy, if he blitzes more, that's already a massive upgrade.
Yeah,
because it's all about getting pressure on the quarterback in this league right now.
But
that's why they got Ngakoue in Minnesota.
Here, I think Lions fans, and probably this is true of all NFL fans, I feel like they put a little bit too much emphasis on play caller. Like the game plan is set. Like they know what they're doing by the time they get to that field. And that's a collaborative effort. That's not just Unlin calling the shots. That's Matt Patricia saying, look, this offensive line is weak here. We're going to attack it. Or look, their wide receivers are bad. We're just going to let our cornerbacks cover them and, be passive on the interior. I don't think that any of that changes under Unlin. I think the only thing that passing off play calling duties really does is just free Patricia up to do other stuff. And I don't know. I'm just not that influenced by this news. I just think it's a whatever. It's a shrug your shoulders moment.
I mean, you could say that Patricia's biggest failure has been in-game management, right? Maybe because he is a good game planner, I'd say. I feel like, back to the Chiefs game, or I guess last time we were talking about Chiefs game, but the game plan was great. It's just the Chiefs kind of figured it out by the end and turned it on its head, and we ended up losing. And that's why I think we have so many late game losses, right? Because we don't make the in-game adjustments other teams do. But Patricia is a good he can put together a good defense to counter what the offense plans on doing. It's just the other team usually by the end of the game has figured something out to re-counter us, and we don't have a counter punch back. So maybe Unlin
second half adjustments, man.
Yeah, maybe if Unlin can take care of that now with his play calling and make the needed changes to Patricia's plan in the second half, that could fix a lot of the fourth quarter issues.
Yeah,
maybe.
absolutely.
I mean, I don't know.
Sure. I mean,
Possibly.
it's all theoretical at this point. The one last thing I want to bring up about the blitzing stuff is it does feel at least a little bit of it last year was simply personnel related. I mean, you look at all the pass rushers on the
just
team.
didn't have anyone.
Yeah, I mean, who are they going to send on blitz? Christian Jones? Are you really excited
Devon
about
Kennard.
that? Yeah, I mean, Devon Kennard was a guy who was not double
He's a
teamed
run
for almost
defender.
all the year, and
Yeah,
and
We
couldn't
talked
get
about it
pass
before
rush.
the year. Yeah, we talked about it before the year. That defensive line last year was built more to stop the run than anything else.
Yeah. And now,
Which
I mean,
isn't that
always
also
felt weird in the division.
Isn't that also kind of Patricia's fault too, though?
oh
Like,
yes,
Yeah.
yeah,
No, that's absolutely
it's his like, yeah, it's like you can people shit on Kennard a lot, or at least like I feel like a lot of like analysts and bloggers and big time lines. You, for example, like what is Kennard? Like you signed him as a guy who's going to just sit there on the edge and stop the run. Like it's not his fault. He's a bad pass rusher. You signed him. Like that's what you wanted.
And
yeah.
I mean,
it was just a failure of philosophy. It was a failure of philosophy.
Yeah.
But I mean, again, we just ran down the division again. Like, which one of these teams is really running the ball that much? Why are we building
the Vikings?
The Vikings?
The Packers, both of them, the Vikings and the Packers. Their ground game's gonna be crazy this year. Packers, that one dude they got in the draft, Boston College kid.
So you do think it is worth? Okay, so I guess I've been focusing too much on just the quarterback, but I would have argued that like we should be stopping the pass. We should have the pass rush than the run.
Just in general, yeah, we should be stopping the pass march because like that is more efficient. But like someone like Dalvin Cook or oh my god,
AJ Dillon.
Oh, AJ Dillon, yeah, like
Chance
they're gonna like tear us up. Like they're like AJ Dillon's like he's like Derrick Henry kind of. I mean, like I don't want to put the world on him yet, but he like has a similar like build and like coming out that Derrick Henry does.
And that's, I mean, it's also kind of weird though because I feel like the Packers offense, and maybe we'll talk about this more when we're back on air, quote unquote. Is kind of like the Lions offense in that like it's set up to be a good passing offense, but the coaching staff are like, no, we want to run the ball.
yeah. Oh yeah, no, that's definitely like it makes no sense. All these speedsters, and we're like, yep, carry on Johnson up the middle. Yeah, that we should probably go back because I was going to mention that on the podcast itself.
Yeah,
so yeah, let's go back.
Yeah. We save those. We'll definitely when we boot up again, we should definitely hit those up. Absolutely. So
and Tedro Maniac, I don't know if I thanked you, but thank you for the follow as well. And thanks for the TED Talk, John. That was a great TED Talk. The lines are bad. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk. Okay.
Yeah, I know we're getting already some people saying it's no use until they sell the team. I don't think selling the team's like I'm not going to do it in podcast.
Get that overly simplistic bullshit out of here.
Martha Ford's the reason.
I understand why people are so fatalistic on it, but like I don't think selling the team is not going to like selling the team. I think me and Jeremy, we've talked about this before. Hiring Bob Quinn was the wrong decision, but it was made for all the right reasons because you got the right advisors to help you, and they all said Bob Quinn.
Yep.
Like,
yep.
It just happens. It sucks, but it happens. It's not an owner's fault at the end of the day. I hate to say it. They did all the right things. They hired the right advisors. They hired the smartest people in the room. The smartest people told them Bob Quinn. They went and hired Bob Quinn. Bob Quinn tells them the coach I want is Matt Patricia. You follow along with what you trust your GM that you hired in that case, and it just hasn't worked out.
Yeah, I mean
the only thing you can really say is like if whether or not they haven't fired them fast enough. That's it.
Fire the consulting group.
The process was good. The result was bad. It was basically going for it on 4th and 1 from the opponent 35-yard line, but you didn't convert.
Yeah, you got stuffed.
You shouldn't have kicked the field goal. You did the right choice. It just didn't work out.
You just got stuffed. It sucks, but it happens.
Yep.
I get it though. It's a long list. It's at the long end of a long list of it sucks for the Lions.
Right.
I totally get that. But I'm just gonna I hate to have to defend owners because these are lazy billionaires at the end of the day with nothing else but taking your money to watch a football game. But I'm not firing Martha Ford out of a cannon for this one.
I think she fired herself out the cannon. It's someone else now, right?
Okay, well, we already got saucy earlier, so let's get back to the podcast. Welcome back to the Pride of Detroit PODcast. Before I get to what I want to say about Stafford, I know, Mansur, during the break, you were addressing Twitch chat with something juicy about the defense. Did you want to share that again?
About the defensive line? Like, what is about Aaron Donald?
Yeah, because we got in a conversation about, last year it was definitely built more for stuffing the run, and we were talking about whether or not that was kind of more beneficial to this division versus stopping the pass rush. And obviously stopping the pass is more beneficial a lot of the time, but you had some other great points. I just want to see if you can rehash them.
Yeah. I think the Vikings and the Packers in particular are teams that are going to run the ball very well, especially both teams kind of having problems in their passing offense. The Packers, they're yet again a team with one receiver. The Vikings lost their best offensive weapon, Stephon Diggs, this offseason. So they're teams who definitely will run the ball a lot. And I think we'll see how Danny Shelton, Nick Williams, and Deshaun Hand work out, but I think our defensive line and their ability to stop the run up front will be pretty big this season. Even though, in theory, stopping the pass is much more important, just because of the divisional matchups we have.
Okay, does that put a bow on the defense, or I know we're going to talk a little bit more about them in a little bit.
I'd rather
I want
not.
to move on to.
I don't want to talk about their defense anymore. I don't want to think about their defense anymore. I would rather spend the next hour and a half talking about their offense, though.
Do you like being a defensive-minded team now, Jeremy? Isn't this what you always wanted?
Honestly, it is what I've always wanted. From the longest
This is the cursed monkey paw.
If you look at my history of jerseys, it's mostly defensive players because I love having a big, strong defense, shutting down opposing offenses, because it feels like, I don't know, there's something amazingly cool about stopping a guy like Patrick Mahomes or Aaron Rodgers. It seems like the impossible. And so the teams that can do that, I'm extremely jealous of. And so, yeah, Matt Patricia's here. Hooray, we're going to do it. Year
Curl
3.
the monkey paw.
Year 3.
Switch.
No,
I think it's cooler to have that
yeah.
Patrick Mahomes on your team. So I think that's why the offense is.
No, I've been an offensive guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've always been an offensive guy. You know me. I want, besides establishing the run game being my motto, I like high flying offense, which is why now I want to talk about Matthew Stafford, which at this point in his career, Matthew Stafford, we've said all we can about him. You have your opinion about Matthew Stafford one way or another. He is 32. He will be 33 next February. He's done everything I think you can ask of a quarterback at this point. I get that some people are expecting him to make the sun and the earth move. And there's something to be said about a quarterback that can overcome the faults and defects of a bad defense, but not to the tune in which the Lions have been putting out there sometimes. And sometimes a quarterback can avoid and make up for the deficiencies in their offensive line. Not to the tune of how bad in the past the offensive line has been. I'm not saying this for this year, but in past years, the offensive line, Stafford's had that kind of working against him a little bit. His ratings have been great in the games he played last year. His stats have been terrific. I guess the question is, as I look at that, is that I want to see an MVP season out of him. I know that's almost hell to ask for when you've got young guys like Mahomes and Lamar Jackson. I'm not saying he's going to be MVP, but to overcome the deficiencies on the defense this year. Once again, I am asking Matthew Stafford to play some hero ball here, because I think nothing less than Stafford balling out is enough to save this Lions defense from a sub 500 record. I think he can do it, though. I think if nothing else, with all he has to prove, and I'm going mental fortitude and grit here, Jeremy, and I know how much you love that, but I'm going grit and toughness and heart and soul over statistics and analytics. But I think Stafford, and this is my bold prediction, you can quote me to freezing cold takes. You can try to. I have them blocked on Twitter. But Stafford is going to an MVP caliber season, and it's what the Lions need to get through this weird, crazy, frantic year of 2020. Offensive lines will not be put together well. I know. Aaron Donald type players out there, as Mansour said during the break, I believe, are going to eat everyone during the season. I know. Stafford, however, has more than enough weapons out there. He has more than enough weapons with Kenny Golladay, who should be having a great season himself. He has TJ Hawkinson out there, who I think should be a better offensive weapon. I would hope so. but he's got enough. Where have we seen Stafford thrive before? It's when he has options, and Stafford has plenty of options on this offense. He's got an improved backfield on the run game. You just hope DeAndre Swift proves his worth. Kerryon Johnson comes back from injury. Hallelujah. And you hope these wide receivers between Marvin Jones, Kenny Golladay, and whoever else makes the roster. I kind of feel like I don't want to jinx anyone besides Quintez Cephus. I don't want to jinx Quintez Cephus either. I want him. He's going to make the roster. But this is a plurality of weapons. Stafford thrives well with a plurality of weapons. Stafford thrives well when he's pissed. And I just hope that this is the year, and I am staking my claim to it. Stafford, not only just the offensive MVP, because that's always a shoo-in for the quarterback of the team for the Lions, but I'm talking top 5 performance for a quarterback in the 2020 NFL season. Unless he gets hurt, then throw this all out the window.
I mean, like what I said on defense about stars shining, I think it applies to offense too, right?
Yes.
Stafford is a star. Kenny Golladay is a star. You can say Marvin Jones even's a star. Secondaries aren't going to be as coordinated and not as good as they were before. And you have star corners that will do great in one-on-ones, but like especially teams that play zone coverage or teams that require a lot of like help from safeties, the coordination, the chemistry won't be there. So, I mean, we'll get a lot of like Kenny Golladay against a corner with no help coming. And that's a place where Kenny Golladay dominates, like making those like high point catches. And I mean, Stafford, if the defense is not on point or they're like kind of lost or disorganized, Stafford, he's a smart player. He's a great player. He has like the talent and the skills and the mentality to take advantage of it. So like the same problem we're saying the defense has, that they don't have enough stars in this type of season, the offense has the stars needed to succeed.
Yeah, I'm with you full. And first, like I'm still reeling just from hearing optimistic Chris. Like he's wearing a Pride Detroit shirt. He's like, I don't know if that beer is Honolulu Blue flavored or what, but
I cracked a beer during the break.
But yeah, I'm with you. And actually, Mansour put out an article a month or two ago about how things were lined up kind of perfectly for Matthew Stafford to make an MVP run this year, because not only does he have all the weapons that he just mentioned, but he could potentially bring a really big story. I mean, to be an MVP candidate, you have to have a team accomplishment. And we just got done talking about how this division was ripe for the taking. So if the Lions win their first NFC North division ever with Matthew Stafford at quarterback, like he's going to get MVP votes, period. No question about it. And I mean, you just
he'll probably get comeback player of the year. I think he should win that. If he does that, absolutely comeback player. There's sexier options out there for MVP, I think, to win it. But you're right. He will get some votes for it.
Yeah. I mean, Ben Roethlisberger, another guy you probably have to look out for that just because he lost his whole season to injury too. But just like going through the skill position players, the wide receivers, I would say, are at least on par from who they were last year. Maybe you're expecting a little bit of regression from Danny Amendola now that he's 46 or whatever he is. Tight ends, either the same or better. I think TJ Hawkinson's going to take a huge jump this year, so I'm going to say better. Running backs are undoubtedly better. Wide receivers, they're deeper too. So if Danny Amendola proves, maybe Father Time finally catches up with him, a guy like Jamal Agnew, who I think is going to make the team and potentially play some wide receiver reps this year, I think he's a pretty formidable replacement. As you kind of alluded to, Chris, too, Quintez Cephus. When Kenny Golladay, when Marvin Jones got injured last year, who came in for him? Does anyone even remember?
Who was it?
Chris Lacey, maybe, and he called
Fulgham. Yeah, it was like Fulgham who didn't catch anything.
Fulgham and Lacey, I think, combined for 3 total catches. I think you bring in Quintez Cephus. He looks already ready in camp. So if one of those guys gets injured, it's not like Cephus is going to put up Marvin Jones type of numbers, but he's going to be an impact. Like he's going to be there. And so the Lions are deeper at their skill position players. They're better. And the only question mark is that offensive line. And honestly, I don't think it's that much of a downgrade from last year. It is a downgrade. I'm not going to gloss over that. I think Halapuli Vaitai is basically a push with Rick Wagner. And then Jonah Jackson has looked really, really good in camp. He's not going to be Graham Glasgow right away. There's no chance of that happening. But he's going to be okay. And so I'm super high on this offense. I'm very excited. The only thing that can get in their way is some early offensive line struggles, and they have to go up against some really good defensive line in this division. And
they've got to go against the Bears to open the season.
Yes.
I think that will throw some shade onto it. But again, as we've said it many times in this podcast before, week 1, temper your expectations, especially in this year.
Yeah.
And especially offensive lines, like
sure.
in general, even without a COVID season, offensive lines always, I think it was a problem. Like in 2016, we were talking about how, like, is the offensive line position dead because these kids come from college and they're just not good enough to keep up with the defenders.
Right.
But it was more that they just suck in the beginning of the season because they don't know what they're doing.
Right.
So imagine that. Plus, not having
gel as a unit.
Preseason.
Offensive line has to gel as a unit. That takes time.
That plus not having a preseason this year, like, and the fact that at least 3 of our starters are going to be new. At least 2 of our starters are going to be new.
Yeah.
Like they're probably going to get run over a bit early on, but who knows?
Finish your point, Jeremy. I'm sorry, we kind of interrupted you.
No, my other point was the only thing that can get in their way, and we talked a little bit about it off air, is the coaching staff, right? You look at how this team has been trying to build with a guy like Halapuli Vaitai, who's a much better run blocker than pass blocker. You've seen them draft 3 running backs in the past 2 years. They're going to try to run the ball. And you know what? I feel like last year we were saying the same thing, and then we saw Matthew Stafford go off, and we're like, oh, maybe we overestimated how much this team is going to run the ball. But you know what? We didn't. Because if you look a little bit closer into what happened last year, this team ran the ball, I think, in the top 7 in terms of percentage of running on early downs in neutral situations. They ran the ball essentially more than 75% of the league on neutral downs. And so that's going to continue. And the thing is, when Matthew Stafford is converting every 3rd and 8, you tend not to notice. But it's not always going to work out that way. Stafford can't stand on his head all the time. So there is a coaching element that I think needs to adjust to make Stafford as good as he was last year. And I'll be honest, I don't see that happening.
You're also losing a lot of, like, this offense has a lot of big play potential. Obviously, Galladay Jones, who are the best deep receivers in the league, and then all, like, the speedy guys we have. But you lose all of that when on first down you're running up the middle because you're not taking a shot on 1st and 10. And if you're running up the middle on first down and getting 4 yards, sure, so like 2nd and 6 is good. But if you're not getting the 2nd and 1, you don't get that free down to take a shot. Like, you lose a lot. Like, this offense has a ton of big play potential, but like we just don't use it because neutral downs, that's when you should take a shot. Like if you throw an incompletion, like, it's fine, you have 2 more downs. But we're like, nope, we're gonna move the chains. Let's get to 2nd and 6. And it's like, why are we doing that?
Yeah, if I was Stafford, I would go up to the coordinators and I would go up to Patricia and I would say to them, just this season, trust me to get this done. And I know they've got a brand new weapon with DeAndre Swift. I want to talk of the running game here in a second. This maybe dovetails into it. The running game is it's maybe not better, but there's more of it now. Does that make sense? Like there's it's not just Kerryon Johnson we're worrying about here, but you got DeAndre Swift, you got Kerryon Johnson. We'll see who wins the next running back after that. But at the same time, like this offense has to go through Stafford first. And a lot of that does come from, as you say, not taking away downs from Stafford when you know he can get you past the sticks.
Yeah. I mean, it's really as simple as that. And I wish the coaching staff, I wish Matt Patricia wasn't a guy necessarily that just thinks you have to run the ball and stop the run to win games. And it's all about.
Maybe he's going to learn this year. Who knows? Yeah.
We've seen him grow, but that to me is a step beyond I think he's capable it's not that he's not capable of doing. I just don't think he has any interest in it. I think in terms of his football philosophy, he's very rigid, and I don't see that changing. And so the solution is, well, hopefully all the pieces that you got to make a good running game to become either Seattle, Bevel's version of Seattle or the Niners or whatever they want to be. Hopefully all those pieces worked out because it is possible to be kind of a run-firsty kind of offense and succeed in this NFL. I don't want to say it's impossible, but when you got a guy like Stafford, when you got a couple of deep ball catchers in Galladay and Jones, I just don't understand that strategy.
The Niners are interesting where their running backs are like, I think Swift meets the criteria of a Niners running back, but they were using like Matt Breida is like one of the fastest players in the league, right? Raheem Mostert, one of the fastest players. Debo Samuel is a wide receiver, and he was being like used as kind of running back type. So I think like even to that point, like it would have to be Jason Huntley and DeAndre Swift and Jamal Agnew playing running back for us to like replicate what the Niners are doing. I don't see like Kerryon Johnson isn't that type of guy, if that makes sense. So like
yes, that makes
sense.
sense.
You have to be a big play run game, not like a Lions type run between the tackles run game.
So to dovetail into the run game, you do see this run game still kind of fancying itself as kind of a power push through the tackles kind of run game. Is that what I'm getting from you, Mansur? Even though they have guys like Swift,
I think so, right?
We see it varied.
That is what I believe we're trying to do. I mean, obviously, maybe bringing in Huntley and Swift, already have Ty Johnson, moving Jamal Agnew to offense. Maybe that's signaling that we're trying to be the Niners, which I think is a really good idea. But,
yes.
I mean,
Niners with a much better quarterback. That would be a fantastic.
Yeah, no, exactly. Niners with an elite quarterback, which is an incredible offense. But there's nothing to say that, I guess. Like that's more speculation than it is anything concrete I'm seeing, right? Like I haven't seen this team play at all since December, so I can't say.
Right. The only thing I would say maybe counter that point is just the kind of offensive linemen they're getting. It's like they do seem to be wanting to get nitty and gritty and rough and, ballers. They want these big guys, not necessarily the athletic ones on the inside. And so, I mean, it almost seems like the running back doesn't necessarily match the offensive line where they're trying to ground and pound on the line, but then they have these speedsters that can kick it out and run misdirection plays and counters and things like that. And maybe it works out, but when you move on from a guy like Graham Glasgow, who seems perfectly fit for being one of those athletic guys that can move around, it's like, okay, well, what are we trying to do here? And not to say that a guy like Swift and Kerryon and maybe even Ty Johnson and Huntley can't run between the tackles. I think they can. I think they're kind of their size is a little deceptive in their style of play, but like you said, like the big play threats are kind of on the outside and is utilizing their speed more than their power, and I'm not sure that's what the Lions plan on doing with them.
All right, what else do we want to talk about on offense, or should I move on to special teams?
You want to talk Hockenson at all? We've barely talked about DJ Hockenson.
You know what? You are. God damn, Jeremy, you are absolutely right. Let's talk Hockenson. Someone is going to get mad at me because I just blasphemed, but guess what? I'm Catholic, so I'm forgiven. Let's talk about Hockenson because this is absolutely a year. Like last year was disappointing. I know that maybe that's on us because I know we were talking about Hockenson. We know tight ends are supposed to take some time to develop in these leagues, but we think Hockenson, especially as an 8th overall pick. He was 8th overall, right?
Yep.
Just making sure. Okay. Just making sure I had my number right. But we thought he'd come out of the gate and still show himself impressively. And instead, like maybe he was decent as far as setting up for the blocking game, but he was not the offensive weapon I think we were expecting. And Iowa tight ends have been a hot commodity the last couple of years. But what are we seeing? What do we think Hockenson is going to do this year?
Well, he showed up to camp in the best shape of his life.
Ding! He
really studied the playbook.
Ding!
It's in the second year with a new offensive coordinator, learning a new offense. No, but for real, like, I do think everything is primed for a breakout year. The only thing holding Hockenson back, to me, is just the ability for this offense to spread the ball as thin as it probably will. Like, so many good receiving threats, including out of the backfield, that I'm not expecting Hockenson to get 8 catches and 80 yards every game. Like, that's not going to happen. But he's going to have big games like he did against Arizona. I wouldn't say more often than not, but like it's not just going to be one time this year. He's going to show up big, and I would say at least 5 or 6 games this year. And I expect him to finish in the top 10 in terms of receiving yards for tight ends. I expect him to be a much more well-rounded player. I do kind of want to bring up the upper body strength. Like it's significantly different. I'm not saying like he's in the best shape of his life. He's way much like you can see in pictures. He's a lot more buff. He spent all that time while he was rehabbing his ankle working on his upper body. I think he's going to be stronger. I think he's now utilizing that strength a little bit better based on what I saw in camp in terms of being a physical receiver and creating a little separation at the top of his routes. I'm really excited for him. I'm almost as hype about Hawkinson as I am about Stafford because I think it could really be a huge year for him.
I think this team this year is probably going to be one where like a different guy, if anyone's going off, it's going to be like a different guy every week.
Yeah.
Like you take away Galladay, then it's Jones. You take away Jones, then it's Amendola, it's Cephas. And I think, yeah, so like what Jeremy said, where there's going to be like 1 or 2 games where Hawkinson's going to be the guy. You know, like we're going to find that Hawkinson's the one who can exploit the weakness because they're focusing so much on Galladay. So yeah, I mean, it's not going to be a consistent thing, but you might see like 3 games where he gets 200 yards, or not 200 yards, like 3 games where he gets like 150 yards, and then like sporadic contributions in between. But I think don't be disappointed if he has like 3 or 4 just 0 games, because I think it's just what it is.
Yeah, it's I think they're trying to figure out, like, yeah, you're right. There is a plurality of receivers in those situations. Tight ends do get neglected. He can do more good blocking if they are going to use, especially if they're going to use the slot quite a bit in any kind of offensive scheme coming up. But at the end of the day, and like, yeah, that's kind of the role of the tight end. You're supposed to be multifaceted like that at the end of the day. So
that being said, Jesse James isn't going to do anything. Don't fall into that trap. Like TJ Hawkinson, year 2 jump for him. Jesse James, I just heard the guy talk a couple hours ago, and he's all optimistic.
You were not impressed.
Well, no. I mean, I'm just saying he's
Listen
all
to
optimistic.
Jeremy, the hater.
He's all optimistic. You know, he had a conversation with Darrell Bevel. We have a new tight ends coach, which could, impact things. But based on what I saw at camp, like I don't see anything. I don't see how that signing made any sense. I don't see how he's going to be any more comfortable. He's certainly not going to bring a lot of targets when the Lions have so many more options on this offense. Lions are just going to have to eat that contract for this year and probably next year and maybe even the year after that. And it sucks.
It happens. All right, real quick before we go to break, real quick, I want MVPs from each of you that you think is going to happen. We're kind of I'm kind of preempting Jeremy's articles coming out for next week, where he's polling the staff, the one that I still need to write tonight.
Oh wow, yeah.
Yeah, MVP on the offense and MVP on the defense. Let's go.
My MVP on the offense will be Joe Dahl. No,
you bastard.
Matt Stafford, of course. I mean,
okay, let's leave out, you know what?
Cy Young, like Stafford gets that, and we do the next.
Yeah, can we Cy Young Stafford out of the way? Like, yeah. I always hate this about offensive MVP because it is Stafford until we say otherwise. Yeah. So, offensive MVP that is not the quarterback.
I think DeAndre Swift with a big year could be, like, I don't want to say he's going to have the same production as McCaffrey, but he could do like that same thing where he's like one of our top receivers and our top rusher. I think it's a possibility. And with as much as his team wants to run the ball, he'll get a ton of carries. And if teams focus their defense on the receivers, I think he could be a guy that might have a few big games. So maybe DeAndre Swift.
And who on defense?
Trey Flowers, because why not?
Okay. Jeremy, who are you taking?
It's kind of funny how many options there are on offense and how few there are on defense. I think I'm going Kenny Galladay on offense. He was certainly the MVP last year. I don't see that slowing down at all, even with all the other weapons. I think this is a guy who's been a monster at camp. The way he catches contested passes is out of this world. Like, I'm not sure there's anyone better at it. I don't think he's necessarily going to take a big step in creating separation or things like that. It's just not going to matter, because if Matthew Stafford is his quarterback for all 16 games, he knows where to put it where only Kenny Galladay is going to have a chance, and more often than not, Kenny Galladay is going to come down with it. So I think we could see another monster year out of him, maybe push into the top 10 consideration of wide receivers in the NFL. And I would say another double-digit touchdown year for him as well.
So I'm cheating a little bit with my defensive pick, and I'll get to that in a second. I agree with you on Kenny Galladay. I think it's going to be Galladay. I really wanted to say Marvin Jones for Old Man Strong and everything, but I think I do give the edge to Galladay. Jones isn't far behind, though, for me. Can I cheat a little bit and say it's going to be 2 people on the defense, but they share a last name?
Oh, the Aquaras.
I want to say the Aquara brothers. one of them is going to push the other into defensive MVP category. I
don't
say
think
this
either
as
are gonna
someone
get
who
playing time this year.
what?
Like,
You don't?
Well,
I mean,
no, they'll both get
they'll
playing
play,
time,
but
but
not
neither of them are
substantially.
starters.
Like, yeah, like
Together
not
they form one
substantially.
starter.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm half bullshitting here, but as someone who comes from having one brother in a household, that brother energy will get you places. It will take you places. No, if I have to pick someone on the defense, I mean, man, I'm flubbing here a little bit. I don't even, you know what? I don't even have a defensive pick. I guess Trey Flowers. I kept looking at the linebacker core and I'm like, can I take someone here? Can I take someone here besides Jared Davis? No, Jared Davis, go over here. Could I take Tavai? But like, I have to go Flowers.
I mean, it could be Jamie Collins. He could be kind of that key piece that brings everything together in the linebacking core. But I think I'm going to go with kind of the trendy pick here and go with I'll go with Tracy Walker. I think this could be a big year for him. I think we've seen flashes of him, his range, his speediness, his ability to cover tight ends, which is something that we haven't seen consistently in Detroit for a long time. So I think, with Duron Harmon there to protect the back end, I'm not buying any of this. He's not getting first team reps in training camp. What's going on? This coaching staff has turned on him or anything like that. I think it's a big year for him, and I think he takes an inch closer to what we've seen with a guy like Glover Quinn, even though they don't quite play the same position.
All right, let's take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to run down the schedule here, the full schedule, all 16 games. I don't think we'll pick all of them, but I want to get what games are you most excited for? What games scare you the most? What's going to be the hardest stretch? I have a question for you guys about the bye week. I have a question for you guys about the home field. And then we're going to give our various bold predictions out there, Kool-Aids and other takes. So stick around. We're wrapping up here our big Lions preview podcast on the Pride of Detroit PODcast.
Roguebot 17
Someone in the chat was... Oh, sorry.
I was just going to say Roguebot 17 asked, can I get a hoo-yah? I don't know if that's what... I don't know if that... How you pronounce that?
Some of the chat was like, look at this Darius Smith at the big leap last year because he got to play with Preston, his brother. just having the same last name just to really...
Yes.
They really vibed.
That would be...
My brother pisses me off, so I had to do that.
What else we got here?
I don't even know if my brother will call me for my birthday, and I always call him for his birthday.
We got COVID conspiracies in the chat. We got...
I was gonna say we've got
people
a lot in the
screaming
chat right
about
now.
Jared Davis. We got a lot. Mind readers.
Jordan Peterson.
My man's Jordan Peterson. I feel like people won't get that. I'm not a Jordan Peterson fan. I'm not crazy, guys.
No, I don't think any of us here at Pride Detroit are Jordan Peterson fans.
You never know. You never know.
Maybe we got to just eat more red meat, man. Eat more red meat and get scurvy.
Shoot up ourselves with horse tranquilizers.
Chat, do you have any questions so that we can stop talking about Jordan Peterson?
I haven't eaten since 11, so this beer is probably hitting me pretty strong too. So,
750 yards, 7 touchdowns. I'm assuming that's a Hawkinson prediction from Joshua.
Ooh,
that's a lot, but I'm not saying it's out of.
Once again, we're kind of in this weird spot where, like, as you guys say, there is a plurality of people to receive.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Thank you, Jeremy.
Who's the best Fall Guys player on the Lions? I haven't gotten around to asking any of the players about that. But
Do you know who the best on the Pride of Detroit staff is, though?
Alex.
Me.
Because you got 1 crown.
How many wins do you have in the past 2 days, Jeremy?
I don't know if I've played.
I'm going to say Alex has got a lot of crowns.
It's me. It's me.
Reno never stops playing that game, though.
I'm gonna say he's obsessed right now.
Every morning,
Reno's obsessed.
It's like every day, like 8:55. I think it's like just before he starts like work. He just checks the store because I always see Reno.
I was gonna say every time first thing I do when I wake up, I go to my computer and check like Twitter and Discord, and I always see Alex like in Fall Guys when I wake up. And I'm on Pacific time, so I'm probably waking up with like a 3-hour lag time, but still.
But to answer your original question, I think it's probably Tyrell Crosby. I know he's a big gamer. He seems like a guy that might like that game. Are you guys going to get the new Tony Hawk remake?
Ooh, that's a damn good question.
Don't ask that question to Monster because he's definitely not played the original. No question.
You're right. I have not played the original.
Because you were -5 when it came out.
I feel like I remember people I know playing it, so I didn't have a PS2.
What was the
I feel like it can't be that old.
I'm trying to remember the original Xbox. What was the Tony Hawk that was on first on the like original Xbox? Was that 2?
I don't know.
That game came out. Pro Skater 1 came out in '99. Damn, I was 2 years old.
Yeah, it was Tony Hawk Pro Skater
that far
2.
off with
it was
-5.
2X. It was 2X. That was the first one I played. I didn't play the original Tony Hawk Pro Skater. I played 2X. I mostly remember that game because on the original Xbox, you could rip CDs to the hard drive and replace your soundtrack in the game. And I was really a big fan of an emo band called Finger 11, and I put the song Suffocate on there on repeat as I was just grinding, just nonstop.
Good times.
Go look up the song. I know I don't even think people even. I can't remember the last hit Finger 11 did. I think it was Paralyzer.
I don't know who that is, so probably been a while.
Oh, Jeremy knows Paralyzer. Yeah.
That was all over the radio.
I seem to struck by you. Is how to make you move. Yeah. No, Suffocate was like their hit before Paralyzer.
So Pro Skater 2 came out 2000, and there hasn't been one since. I feel like there's been a lot.
There's been a lot of them since, but like none of them reached that fame of the original Pro Skater and Pro Skater 2.
Yeah, those were huge. I was never hugely into it. I remember playing one for like Game Boy, and I liked that one a little bit, but probably Game Boy Advance at that point. I don't remember.
I don't really have consoles anymore, but if I can get it on like my Switch or on my PC, I will definitely play it. A lot of games have been kind of put off, so like the only thing on my radar right now is like Cyberpunk, and that's not coming out until November. And they'll probably get delayed again.
We did all get the new Madden, but I haven't even touched it yet. So
I can't open it. Whenever I try starting a game, it crashes. And then when I went on the like forums, and it's a thing. If you have like an NVIDIA like system, like you just can't fucking play. It's like that seems like a lot of people, right? That's not.
that might be a problem for me because I have an NVIDIA.
I think I might as well. Should I try to open it right now?
No. Thank God I didn't buy this shit because I actually almost spent $60 on that.
Tony Hawk Pro Skater's coming out tomorrow.
Yeah.
Let me see if it comes out on Switch because I'll download it on Switch if it is.
Oh, there's an update. I'm not going to do it now. Might screw everything up.
Hopefully that fixing the damn bug.
An unboxing video. No, we do plan on bringing the Madden Sims back. It'll probably be on this Twitch page
with the crappy Madden.
With the crappy Madden, and this time you'll get I'll have my face in there.
It'll be just as sloppy as the real games.
Yeah,
I was gonna say
it's actually the most realistic simulation ever.
I do have Madden 20. I did buy Madden 20, so if 21 seems to be just all fakakta, we can always fall back on that. But
how exactly do Madden Sims work? In the past, they've just been like we literally just sim a game and watch it together. We probably mess with the lineups to make sure that they're somewhat accurate to the game day roster that we're expecting. We run them on Sunday or Saturday mornings. Now that there's no college football right away, that can be your college game day.
Sir, Central Arkansas is actually playing right now.
Stop talking about Central Arkansas.
Please stop disrespecting Central Arkansas.
Top team in the nation, Central Arkansas.
They're giving UAB. They're giving the University of Alabama a game right now.
That is not what UAB is.
It literally is. It literally is.
Isn't the B something? It's not. I mean,
Birmingham.
Yeah. Okay. So it's not.
part of the University of Alabama system, which includes Tuscaloosa, Birmingham, and Huntsville.
Yeah, but it's not University of Alabama. It's University
It's
of
like
Alabama.
it's like how Reno. It's like how Reno went to
to
University of
UFM.
Michigan, but hates Michigan.
I was gonna say he went to Michigan, University of Michigan, but in like Dearborn. Yeah.
Yeah, so he's fake. But yeah, same thing. He's still a Wolverine as much as he runs from it. The Blazers are actually Crimson Tide.
Stop it. You made me scare my dog by pounding my desk. That's on you.
I requested the Zazu cam earlier, and you wait. What does the 40 in the corner of the stream mean?
That's how many subs we have.
Oh, nice.
We were up
today or in general?
In general, overall.
Oh, okay.
I like the new layout. I'm glad we switched to this new thing. I'm just hoping the bot does not like crap out.
Yeah, the little logo looks nice. That's actually pretty clever, Jeremy. They have no idea.
Which one?
They have no idea why the logo's there, huh?
Oh yeah.
No, that was clever. That was clever.
It's got the Pistons teal on it, pretty much.
Oh, there's a bear there.
Oh no!
Can't be a bear on
Craig.
podcast.
It's our friend Craig.
Well, now this is the Chicago
Who's
Bears.
just listening to us.
Yeah, no, that's our robot.
Zazu, come here.
Craig.
Come here.
Oh, we've got a Zaz request. Yep.
Yes. And since your treats aren't around, you're gonna get a tortilla chip. Come here. Come here.
Chris, have you watching God of High School? I don't even know what that is. Is that? Oh, okay, it's an anime.
I need Zazu's
God
in the
of
chat.
High School.
Well, here's the thing, and I think people need to know this about me and my manga and anime obsession. I am a seinen fan, not a shonen fan. That means like more adult stuff, like that. I don't know. I haven't heard of God of High School. Anime for me is hit and miss. The only thing I'm watching right now is like old episodes of Caretaker of Tsunohara-so, which is just perverted, and I've probably lost a lot of respect just for even saying that.
Did you guys enjoy?
Do we have a goose cameo too? Someone call Ryan.
Ryan's probably in another storm again.
Sir, your dog is requested.
I didn't get any Zazus in the chat. I'm very disappointed.
I requested one. Oh, you mean people saying Zazu?
No, I need the emotes in chat. We got 40 subscribers. There we go. What do we have Zazu emotes?
I don't think I have those anymore because I subscribed to Ryan or I subscribed to Reno. They took them from me. Yeah, I can't use them.
It is September, guys. I don't know what that means, but I think for new subscribers, it's cheaper. Just throwing that out there.
New sub, I might have to. Let's see.
Yeah, I can't subscribe till September 18th.
Yeah,
They gave it to Reno this month.
$1 off if you get one sub. If you're subscribed for 6 months, you're getting $10 off.
Whoa.
Nice.
Chat, did you hear that?
Off. Did you hear that? $10 off.
I don't quite understand what that means since the subscription is only $4.99, so I don't know how you get $10 off of $4.99.
Jeff Bezos pays you $5, Jeremy.
It is $3.99 for a month. For 3 months, you get a discount.
Oh, so you can buy multiple months now together.
And if you buy 6 months, you get 30% off.
Whoa, guys. If you buy it now, you won't have to worry about renewing next week. Or next month. You can just do it all right now. What a deal.
Like what John said, buy 6 months.
That money directly goes to beer that Jeremy owes me when I finally come visit Detroit sometime.
Oh, is that what that is?
And wings. And mozzarella sticks.
Anyways, I would love to get back up to 69 subs if we can get there by the season. So
nice.
Throwing that out there.
Yeah.
Don't have to be today.
Be very nice.
All right, you want to get back into this?
Yes, I do. I'm finishing this beer here, so.
Stop showing off your Rick and Morty emotes. I'm jealous. Although I don't know what that second one is.
I don't even watch more anymore.
Oh, I need to watch the last season of that. I only watched up to the Snake episode.
I've been so bored. You know what I should do? I should go back and watch more Venture Brothers. I love that show.
It's a great show.
It's a great show. Speaking of Rick and Morty, I know that like Star Trek cartoon kind of cribbed Rick and Morty. Have any of you guys seen that stuff?
I saw the cartoon, like pictures of it. I haven't watched it. I heard it sucks.
Yeah, I've heard it's just. That's the thing is like, what's it called? Below deck
Lower
or
deck,
under?
Lower deck.
Lower deck. Yeah.
I like some of the comedians involved, but it's on like CBS All Access. I don't have that. I don't really care.
Yeah, well, I had that for a while.
Jeremy, I'll send you a website called The Pirate Bay.
Well, I was going to say up on Daily Motion. No, I had CBS All Access for a while because I was watching Discovery and Picard, and people know I'm a Trekkie, but like The problem with that show, plus with everything else, is just it's all damn cynical. Oh God, the Raptors won at the buzzer, huh?
Wait, did they? Fuck.
Yep.
Darn. I wanted them to get swept.
Not getting swept tonight, baby. Let me see who got that last shot. And then we'll start.
Nick Van Vliet.
Nick Nurse.
Anunoby?
Nick Nurse got the last shot? No, it was OG.
Anunoby.
No.
OG and Anunoby.
And Anunoby.
Oh,
yeah.
I saw OG and I'm like, oh, that's probably just guard.
Oh, it's guard. Oh.
OG guard.
Yeah,
like,
Lowry and Anunoby.
I didn't know that was his name. Anyways, this isn't a basketball podcast. I don't know anything about basketball. John's throwing hockey tweets in the chat. Or what I'm. Oh no, it was a basketball tweet. Do we want chat? Do you want to see the game winner?
Give me mod power so
We're doing it anyways. Copyright strike. Who cares? Here's the game winner, everybody. 0.5 seconds left with the inbound.
Oh, come on.
Wow.
No way.
Wow.
That's pretty crazy.
Look at that. Oklahoma City. That's how you draw up a play with time expiring.
Wow. And like they started that clock right like there's no clock malfeasance there. That was actually 0.5 seconds.
It hit his hands, yep.
All right. Well, we're a basketball podcast now.
All right. Let's finish up this football podcast before we get into the basketball. Finishing down the stretch here on the Pride of Detroit PODcast. Once again, find us on Pride of Detroit, twitch.tv/Pride of Detroit. Search for it on YouTube, Pride of Detroit. Pride of Detroit on Twitter, Pride of Detroit on Facebook, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio. Oh my, Stitcher, I think. This list gets longer and longer every time we do it, Jeremy. There's going to come a day where I'm just not going to be able to stop. It's going to be the whole podcast. Just diversify your bonds.
And your podcast platforms. Download it on every single podcast. That if there's one message you can come from today's podcast, download it on every single platform you can.
Please do, especially since Jeremy is stealing money from me by putting this on YouTube now.
We're not making money on YouTube. Are you kidding?
You're taking the food out of Chris's cat's mouth.
Yeah, my big fat cat who has wandered into the camera. He doesn't. You know what? When you guys give bites to Jeremy, it doesn't. That cat doesn't get appearances on Twitch. But if you are on Twitch, you can give channel points and get Jeremy to show you his lovely dog Zazu. So, hence another reason why you should watch us live and then download the podcast several times.
There you go.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk about the schedule. Just as an opening nugget, look at the schedule right now. Swallow your pride, swallow your fears. Analytically, who is right now on paper, this will change with the season, right now on paper, who is the toughest opponent you believe the Lions will face and why?
I think I have to go the Saints. That has all the makings of a ridiculous shootout, and I know the Saints are kind of nearing their eclipse here, nearing their peak, where they're facing a fork in the road with what happens after Drew Brees leaves, retires, all that stuff. But for now, there's still a huge offensive behemoth, and we still have all these questions about the Lions' defense, and so it's going to be a shootout. And I don't have a ton of faith in the Saints' defense either. So the Lions could certainly keep pace, and I feel like they're going to keep pace with a lot of teams this year. But I don't know. Most of the time, a shootout with the Saints is a bad proposition, and I feel like it could be again this year.
Kind of before the same reasons, I'm going to say the Bucs. They're absolutely loaded with offensive weapons, and I mean, obviously, Week 16, we don't know what the league will look like, who's going to be in the game, whether or not Okuda's turned into an elite corner or anything yet. But we probably aren't prepared to deal with those offensive weapons, but they might not be prepared to deal with ours. So it also might just be like a 49-42 shootout or something. So yeah, I'm going to say Tampa Bay. But yeah, the Saints probably close second. And the Saints, because they're earlier on in the season, I feel like it'll be even messier on defense. So that actually might play into it more. Yeah.
This is going to be a weird one for me, but I think that road game on the week before against the Titans is probably what I'm going to pick. Just because the Titans, like their record wasn't fantastic last year, but they showed that they have the caliber to be a playoff team and hang with anyone last year. Like Mike Vrabel, for whatever faults you can give him, even though they don't seem to have much of a quarterback at all, if any, like that's not a... I'm not scared of Ryan Tannehill. I'm not scared of Trevor Siemian. I am scared of what the Titans can do on the ground, and I am scared of what the Titans can do on defense.
So you're saying the team that has a really good defense and a really good run game, those are the teams you should be fearful of, huh?
I think I said it on the podcast last year that the Titans are basically what the Lions want to be. They're literally just what the Lions like should have been.
You said that about the 49ers too, this podcast. So it's
oh yeah, no, well, yeah, I mean, the Titans some more.
But that's the model
because they have literally the Patriots guy, the same similar defensive style. Like they're what the Lions want to be. Like Matt Patricia goes to sleep every night looking at a Titans logo.
I am a little scared about taking a road game against the Cardinals this early in the season when I think Kyler Murray, this could be his breakout year, kind of like what we saw last year with Lamar Jackson. Like Kyler Murray's offense, I know people bagged on Kyler Murray a little bit. His offensive line last year was not good. It was not good at all. It was one of the worst offensive lines in the NFL on paper. Kyler Murray could do very well this year.
A road game in Arizona early in the season, what could go wrong?
What could go wrong? With that in mind, since we talked about, like, can I just say, like, that those are our toughest games we've talked about. Cardinals, Bucks, Titans, Saints. How do you guys... I look at that, though, and I see the Saints on the decline. The Titans have flaws you can attack. The Bucks, who knows how much juice Tom Brady still has at the end of the year. Like, how tough is the schedule for the Lions, do you guys think? Because, I mean, I'm looking at our other out-of-division games. Like, you've got the emasculated Jaguars. You've got a Falcons team that might not even have its coach by the end of October. You've got the Washington football team. Who knows what happens there? Colts, Panthers, Texans... And then the NFC North, which we've already said is probably going to be a very weak division this year. What do you make of this schedule?
Yeah, it's definitely not the hardest schedule. I mean, the division's weak, and then the AFC South is in kind of a weird place. Like you said, the Jags aren't going to do anything.
They're in the middle of a fire sale, as we speak.
Yeah, the Texans and Titans, they're the contenders there, but they're not. Both of them have very obvious flaws that could damn them. I'm not saying we're better than them or anything, but they have. They're definitely a team that isn't like foolproof. And then I don't think the Colts. I think there's a lot of hype around the Colts, right? I feel like people kind of like them. I don't think
they're every year. I feel like
I don't think they're going to do anything this year. I think they're.
Well, you hate Phillip Rivers.
Phillip Rivers is awful. Like I don't know. Like
I'm with you.
He can't play. He just can't play anymore. And I think like that offense. It's better than the Bears' offense, but it might just be a black hole too. So I'm not too big on the Colts. So yeah, we definitely got easy matchups, but I think we're bad too. So
Right. I mean, and ultimately, when you talk about the schedule, you have to talk about the division. And we spent a lot of this podcast already talking about how this isn't a very good division. So that's 6 games right off the bat. We're almost talking about half the schedule there. Not against great teams, really mediocre teams. Again, Lions are probably a mediocre team too, but I feel like the tough games that we just mentioned, I don't think the Lions are like more than a 7-point dog in any of those games. They should be contenders in just about every one of those games, which means, I don't look at the schedule and shaking my boots necessarily. The AFC South, as Mansour was mentioning, okay at best, maybe top heavy, but those 2 bottom teams in the Colts and the Jags are teams that could easily be taken, I think. And then you look around who they've got in the NFC this year. They've got the NFC South. Is that right?
Yeah, NFC South. Yes. And the Panthers are down there with them. The Panthers are right down there with the Jaguars. They're not doing anything either. Yeah.
Rebuild.
Falcons,
so I barely.
Yeah, Falcons are kind of hit and miss. Obviously, I think the team to beat there is, as we mentioned before, the Bucks. I don't know. I'm just and then there's the Saints. So
And there's Washington on there too, but I don't think much of them either.
No, there's a reason the Lions are playing the Washington football team this year, and it's because they both placed last in their division last year. So I think the Lions are in a better spot than where Washington is. So I'm kind of optimistic on the schedule. I don't think it's too bad.
Yeah, I think we kind of catch the Saints at the right time because they're probably all around the best, like you know what I mean, like top to bottom, they're probably the team with the least amount of just like glaring flaws, but also like we might catch them at a point where maybe they haven't put it all together yet because it's only 4 weeks in the season. So I think having that game early is kind of nice.
Yeah, no, I agree. Absolutely agree. So is there a stretch of this schedule where, is there a stretch of the schedule that you guys get concerned about? And I guess this also kind of dovetails into another question I have is that, how are you guys feeling that once again, the Lions, they play 4 games and then they're bye? Once again, the Lions are shanked with an early bye.
Well, it's interesting because if you're talking about a stretch of the schedule that I'm worried about, it's those 4 games.
Yes.
I mean,
and that's basically the Lions preseason too.
Yeah. We mentioned it earlier. Start with 2 division games that you can't afford to go 0-2 right off the bat against the Bears and then at Green Bay. So those are 2 tough games. We talked about Arizona playing on the road there against a team that could be a lot better than they were last year. We all know what happened last year. And then the other one is Saints. So we're talking about 4 really coin toss games where I would probably have the Lions as underdogs for 3 of those games. And so heading into the bye 1-3 would be a rough start to the year. You know, we'd be talking about Matt Patricia being on the hot seat. We'd be talking about the end of an era, maybe even Matthew Stafford.
Talk about Bob Quinn, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, we would be talking some serious doom and gloom about this team if they went 1-3 into that bye week. And the whole early bye week is a whole nother issue, but how this team starts out of the gate, and we have no idea how any team is going to look out of the gate, is going to be really, really important. And it's something I probably have the biggest concern about.
I would say the last 6, Thanksgiving to the close. I mean, if the divisions is as competitive as we expect, that's 3 games in the division, 1 against each team. They'll also probably be fighting for like a division title, maybe a fringe wild card spot. The Texans, the Titans, and the Bucks are the other 3 games in there, and
those are 3 really tough teams to fight.
Yeah, so it's the 3 divisional games, and then Texans, Titans, Bucks to end the season. That's a really rough stretch for what is the stretch that will probably define our season, right? Those last 6 before the playoffs. And I mean, I think, there's a very obviously a weak point in our schedule. I mean, Jeremy picked the first 4, I picked the last 6, so you can see where we left off. So there's a very obvious point where we could, Jacksonville, Atlanta, Indianapolis, Minnesota, Washington, Carolina, that 6-game stretch from week 6 to week 10. I think that might get a lot of people excited, especially for the upcoming playoff race. So, that's a stretch we can go 5-1, maybe 6-0 in.
Ooh.
That everyone's gonna be excited, oh man, here we go, playoff time, and then we run into the
vapors. The vapors.
We actually might go 6 straight in that stretch, as hard as that is in the NFL, and that's gonna have everyone going, and then the gauntlet comes.
I think you're onto something in that I feel like this schedule, it has the makings of the 2016 season written on it. Not in the comebacks, but in that it was hot. It was cold for the Lions, right?
Yeah.
They started 2016 not doing great. Then suddenly we had all those comeback wins. The Lions are winning an ungodly number of games straight. And you get the end of the season and you start to see them taper off right until they just bomb out against the Seahawks in the wild card round. That's what this schedule feels like. I don't know if it makes the wild card round, but I'm just saying that cold is definitely there with the schedule on paper.
And what you mentioned with the bye week being early, I think this year, I think it could be beneficial to have it early. Maybe if the first 4 games are a mess, regroup, take a week off, figure out what the team's doing, what the team's identity is. I think maybe an early bye week could help this year with how weird we expect the start of the season to be.
I can actually agree with that. I think it can, because you're getting that after, excuse me if I check here, 4 games, right?
Yeah.
So you don't even get a week off between preseason and the regular season.
No. Well, I mean, no one who's going to be playing week 1 in a substantial role is probably playing week 4. But basically.
Yes. Yeah. So it's basically your preseason, except these games count.
Yeah. So do that. Don't mess up. Try to win at least 2 of them somehow. And then regroup in week 5 and just figure out what's going on. I don't know.
The Detroit Lions 2020. Don't screw this one up.
I don't know. I hate the early bye week. I hate having to finish the season 12 straight games in 12 straight weeks. It could even be further complicated by COVID. Like if COVID hits this team in week 7, like there's no reprieve. There's no break where you can, quarantine or whatever you have to do. Obviously all that sort of stuff is speculation, but something you kind of have to keep in the back of your mind. There's no break for them. There's no hitting the brakes when this season is in full gear come October. You're going, and there's no stopping. And I don't know. I've seen it take its toll on locker rooms before, and I feel like it can again. Of course, winning cures all, though. So if the Lions get on a roll, if they hit that cushy part in the middle of the season and go on a 6-game run, then maybe it won't matter. Maybe they'll just, they'll build momentum and be fine. But in general, I'm frustrated to see that bye week so early again. I don't like it.
You said the magic word. I didn't want to talk too much COVID in here because I feel like I'm drained from everyone talking about it a little bit too much. I think the what ifs kill us a little bit.
Sure.
Like I can totally see it when we're talking about college football because college football isn't guaranteed. Everyone has a lot of different things. In the NFL, we know now that they're playing.
Yeah.
And we know that they have protocols for travel, which I think is the biggest thing that sets them apart from baseball.
Right.
Is that their protocols are stricter. We saw that with who was that kid for the Seahawks? I can't remember his name now.
Oh, the corner who's trying to sneak a girl. Yeah.
He's trying to get the girl in with the with the Seahawks gear. Yeah. Like they have protocols in place and they're saying you guys are going to be in these kind of mini quarantines. You're not going to be a full bubble, but you are going to be quarantined in various ways. And I think the picture looks different than what it did back in, say, June, when we now have testing that is like light years ahead from what we used to have. Like, I remember I had to get tested. We had something going through one of the places I work around July 4th, and it took me almost a week to get the results back. From what I understand about these new tests that are coming out now, we're going to see really rapid turnarounds for a lot of them. So I think that does matter at the end of the day. However, if a game does get canceled or rescheduled, I don't know what's going to happen there. So for the time being, I have to assume that everyone's going to play 16 games. Probably not every team is going to play 16 games at the end of the season, but you just have to kind of operate on that until we get word elsewhere. It's what it has to be for the NFL. The other part about this weird COVID scenario is that, as far as I know, to start the season, Jeremy, you can correct me if I'm wrong, there are not going to be fans at Ford Field. Now, I know they wanted to try to have fans there, but there's not going to be fans there. That's not going to be the same for every stadium across the NFL. Some states are going to allow fans in, some others are not. But our very good, lovable friend, Michael Rothstein from ESPN pointed this out on Twitter. One of the weird things, because of this change, where there are no fans in there, where there are no fans in the stands, where we have pumped in crowd noise, is that home field's going to be really different for the Lions. If the Lions ever got off to early in the season a bad start, or they were on a bad stretch, we would have Bronx cheers and boo birds galore for the Lions. Detroit's a tough home crowd. No way around it. It's also a tough crowd for road teams to play in when the fans are actually behind the Detroit Lions, which again isn't always a given. But as Mike pointed out, like, how accurate is the crowd noise going to be? It's certainly not going to be as loud as a packed Ford Field at the end of the day, but also it's not going to have sarcastic cheers when the Lions are down 20 and manage to get a first down for the first time in like a quarter and a half. That's just not going to be there in the canned crowd noise, right?
Yeah, I don't know. Crowd noise to me only really matters when it comes to forcing false starts. Everything else is just like a narrative. Like the fact that fans are booing, does that affect team performance? I doubt it. I think it's just it's a bad image, right? Like having the Jets chanting Jets, 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 Jets at the end of the season opener on Monday night. It's a bad look. It's a bad image for the franchise, but doesn't affect much on the field, I don't think. The one thing that I think could really be impacted this year, and I actually kind of heard this from an NPR podcast, not to be too soy boy like people think I am, but
can you do soy face for Twitch? Can you do soy face for Twitch? Do you even know what soy face is?
I don't know what it is, and I'm not going to do it.
Open your mouth.
No.
This MFR listens to NPR. Look at him.
But it was an NPR podcast, and they said the biggest impact that they expect this year is officiating differences, because the one market difference that you do see from home, like the biggest factor in home field advantage is officiating, because they feel pressured by a home crowd that's booing them, that's going crazy, that's yelling at them.
Replays on the big TV, yes.
Sure, yeah, and you get exactly. Well, you'll still get that, obviously. I would think. Actually, that's a really good question. Are they showing instant replays in a fanless stadium? I bet they still are.
I think
the players look at it. Yeah,
right. The players look at it. I think probably the media would want to see it as well.
So your staff definitely looks at it too.
You're still getting that. You're still going to get that advantage, but in terms of like the pressure of a home crowd on an official, you're not going to get. And so I think there might be a leveling out of officiating, and that's great news for the Detroit Lions fans, because guess who doesn't have fans for the first? No, I'm serious. Guess who doesn't have fans? The Packers don't have fans for their first 2 games, and the Lions are playing them in week 2. So guess what? We're getting all the holding calls.
Yeah, I think the NBA commentators have been mentioning it a lot too, that like, you know, some calls where the ref might let the guy get away with the travel, or maybe like this wouldn't, you know, like this like touchy foul wouldn't have been called if Team X was at home. And like the commentators are mentioning, they're like, yeah, like if we were in the Thunder Stadium and there were 20K people screaming at the ref, he probably gives it the call, but he's confident here. So I think, yeah, we'll definitely see that translate to the NFL too, where maybe some borderline calls where the ref would be scared to make because the home crowd will yell at him, he'll just make it because he doesn't care anymore.
I think that's a great point. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I think we've seen kind of in the NBA bubble, officiating's been all over the place. Like, putting aside Scott Foster inserting himself into the end of Thunder Rockets in Game 7 the other night, like it's been kind of a weird place, and I'm curious. And refs are human too. I'm curious how they're going to be dealing with COVID and, you know, quarantine and everything else along with all of this too.
And I think NBA refs have been stricter from what I've seen and heard.
Yes,
I mean, I'm not someone who watches.
Have, yes.
Yeah. I'm not someone who watches a lot of week-to-week NBA, but from what commentators seem to be saying, they're stricter. So I wouldn't be surprised if that is like you're more confident in calling like ticky-tack fouls, which we might see that in the more holdings, more face
mask.
Scared. Yeah, ref's not scared to put himself up there like that anymore.
All right, we're reaching the end of the podcast. I want to get to our various predictions, our various bold predictions, and any Kool-Aid you might have for the season. So I want your bold predictions, but also like what the fan in you is screaming. Because at the end of the day, I hate to say it because I'd like to say that we're a neutral arbiter, but we do have that Lions fan within us, like the two wolves within us, the Lions doubter and the Lions fan. And I want to hear those wolves scream for a second. But first, bold predictions. Manser.
I don't know if this is bold, but I think like Stafford's going to go crazy. Like I think he might not win MVP. Yeah, he might not win MVP because the wins might not be there, but I think he's going to have like a genuinely incredible season.
Jeremy?
Week 17, Vikings at Lions will be for the division title.
Wow, look at you. Damn, son, where'd you find this?
Finally not playing the Packers at the end of the season. Like you said, I do think the Vikings are probably the most well-rounded team in general. And I do think the Lions have a shot this year. I really do. And part of it is because the division isn't that good. Part of it is what Mansour just said. I think Stafford's in for an absolute monster year. And I've always gone by this kind of philosophy of mine that says if Stafford plays 16 games, I don't see this team losing 10 games in a season. And yes, that did happen in Matt Patricia's first year when he went 6-10. But I truly view that as this team's floor with a healthy Matthew Stafford. And so I think this is at the very least a 7-win team. And if they can get some of the luck go their way in terms of injury, in terms of, you know, defensive regression, I guess, or whatever the opposite, progression, I guess. Is that the opposite of regression?
No, it's still
regressing to the
yeah,
mean. That's
regression, yeah.
Yeah, I think this team is capable of 10, 11 wins if things bounce the right way. I'm not predicting a 10-11 win season, but I do think these might be the two best teams in the division, so Week 17 is going to be a fun one.
I think
I
my
like to
bold
point out the last time Stafford played 16 games, we did. Yeah, I mean, you mentioned it, but that is the most recent time Stafford has played 16 games.
Right, right. But every other season, other than that, since
it's been at least
2009 or 2010 or whatever.
I think by this time in December, we are going to be talking about Kenny Golladay. You know what? This is supposed to be bold, so I might as well go the whole 10 yards. We are going to be talking like the national media is going to be talking about Kenny Golladay the way they used to talk about Calvin Johnson. Some of that's going to be because of Stafford. I'm not saying all that's going to be deserving of Kenny Golladay, but I think Kenny Golladay is going to pop eye numbers on fantasy football, and it's going to get people to talk about him in big ways. And it's going to, I mean, this could potentially be a contract year for him too, for him to make some money. So I think we expect to see Kenny Golladay ball out.
That doesn't mean you can call him Babytron, though. Let's make that
no. We need a better nickname than Babytron. We need a better nickname than Kenny G. Get me something good here, folks.
They don't call him Babytron for nothing. I feel like that's a good bit.
No. I hate you.
Can we kick him? Can we kick him? No. Too late at this point.
I mean, I think if he has enough highlight plays, he definitely could get, like, maybe not to actual skill level.
That's part
level.
That's part of my prediction is that he's going to make some of those one-handed catches, and some of those ridiculous contested catches where he's just going over a guy by like half his body to make a touchdown, where it's just it's going to look good on Sports Center is what I'm saying.
The Babytron plays.
Oh my god. All right, Kool-Aids. So what are we saying? No. What are we final?
Kenny Galladay's Calvin Johnson wasn't Kool-Aid.
I guess those do count as Kool-Aid. So let's go on. So right off the top, stealing another one from Jeremy. What are we saying for our season record?
Oh, we're going there. We're giving full on season predictions right now.
Right into that wall. Come on, give it to me. Hit me. I want you to hit me.
7-9. I mean, I think like we could, like what Jeremy said, especially in a year like this one, we could probably chance our way to 10-11 wins. Like few balls bounce in our direction, a chance fumble, we recover or something. But I think like that's probably what we are: 7-9, 8-8, 9-7. Like that's probably where the talent on this roster is, somewhere in that range.
I'm taking 9-7, and I think that's good enough maybe for a wild card. This might change before my actual written prediction is out, so do not hold it to me. I know I have been doom and gloom in the past, and I think actually last year I had more wins than they actually got, and people thought I was low.
Same.
Yeah. I think I had them at like what did I have them, Jeremy, last year? 6-10? Probably. People yelled at me for several years because I was like doubting them. Well,
I put the Lions at 22 last year in my preseason power rankings.
I'm not
30th. So
there's no way I see this team finishing with double-digit wins. No way that I see this team finishing with double-digit wins.
But you picked them at 9-7.
Yeah, that's not double-digit.
You're predicting their absolute ceiling.
Absolute ceiling is 9-7.
Wait, so I mean, by your prediction, they're like an interception away from 10-6, right? Like like if a ball goes the other way at some point,
intersection, man, you can't cross that intersection with 5 seconds left on the walk counter.
Hey, Reggie Ragland had a 100-yard interception return in practice. That counts. Practice is
Stafford,
reality.
All I'm hearing is Reggie. Stafford is trash. Did Stafford throw it or
no?
Stop it. All right, I think that's it. I don't
even get to predict.
Reading at Jeremy's record.
I'm sorry. No, I'm
the big boss. Yeah.
I completely forgot because I'm usually going last, and I jumped in front of Jeremy. Jeremy, what's your prediction?
So I typically get railed for my prediction because I love to just pick 8-8.
He's gonna say 12-4
because, like, I don't know. I feel like this team is right there in the middle where. For the past few years, like this team really was essentially an 8-8 team last year, but Stafford got injured. Like they were 3-4-1 when he got injured. They had taken some really good teams to the rails, and yeah, I would say they're an average team. And then I look at this team, and I think they're better. I think defensively they're different, but they have better players for their scheme. They have guys that are comfortable with Patricia, guys that are buying in 100% on defense. And offense, I think they're better too. So I'm going to bump them all the way up to 9-7.
And you're yelling at me this whole time.
Well, no, I think their ceiling is much higher than that. I think they like I said before, 11, even 12 wins is not completely out of the question, but at the same time, neither is 7-9. Like I think if I were to put a range on it, 7-9 and 10-6 is probably where I see the most. I would give them like an 85% chance of landing somewhere in there. I'm going to lean a little bit more on the optimistic side because I do like what they're doing on offense, even if it isn't schematically what I would like. I do like some of the moves they made on defense. I think there's a very little chance that they regress or that they get worse, I should say, on defense. So I'm at 9-7. I still think that puts them in the hunt. Like I said, I think Week 17 is for the division, and I'm ready to get this thing started.
It's for all the Tostitos, as they would say down in Arizona. All right, everyone. That's it for the PODcast. Once again, subscribe on any of your podcast platforms, Stitcher, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. Subscribe and follow on Twitch. Subscribe on Twitch, too, because that throws money to Jeremy's way.
Our way.
Subscribe and follow us on YouTube. Get us everywhere there. There's going to be a lot of content. And as always, prideofdetroit.com, the classic.com, for all that news, everything we're going to be doing this season. It's going to be a really busy season for us. We're hitting all cylinders here. How many did we say we had? 16? 16
yes.
cylinders.
One for each game.
Damn, man. Well, we need to expand that to
playoffs.
20
that's right.
to 20 cylinders at least.
Oh, so they don't have a bye week, but they're gonna run the.
They're gonna get at the wild card. Is what I'm saying.
Okay, yeah. I'll take that.
Yeah. Goodbye, everyone, and we will, as always, for me, Chris Raffett at Chris Raffett on Twitter, Mansour Shaheen at Mansour Shaheen on Twitter, Jeremy Reisman at Detroit on Lion. This is for all of us to you at home. See you Starside.